Welcome once again to Humanist TV Africa, the only channel where you get things the way they are, and of course, you get things in the most rational, most deliberate, most intentional, and most well researched way. This is the only TV where you find things that are given in a verified way, that are given in a researched way, that are scientifically driven, that are purpose driven, and are meant to change attitudes, are meant to change the paradigm shift, so that people, especially people back in Africa, can take things under control and can regain their confidence and do things the best way possible. Now, this is Kato Mukasa for Humanist TV Africa, and in the studio is Dennis Bongole, who is based in Uganda and ensures that we do air this program. Of course, I have a team of other producers, including Brian Kabeko, who is based in Kenya, and of course, we have Nana Kufo, based in Ghana. Now, we have another team of strong hosts and, of course, panelists spread across Africa. We have a team in Ghana. We have a team in Nigeria, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Uganda, Kenya, and Sierra Leone, and of course we are still growing wings, including of course South Africa. Now, this is Humanist TV Africa, where things happen and reaching out to humanity is our catchword. Now, we have different programs, and I've been saying it that we shall be having daily programs on this show. Please, if you haven't subscribed, this is your chance to do so. Please subscribe to YouTube channel. Our Facebook page is Humanist TV Africa. Our YouTube channel has the same name, Humanist TV Africa. Please look for it, subscribe, share it, encourage your friends to share it, and encourage them to spare some time, spare some data, put on Quet on their phone, their gadgets, Wi-Fi, and be able to watch these shows. These are very informative shows. And trust me, if you continue watching these shows, you are going to change the way you look at things. And if you're a parent, you have children, if you're a teacher, you have students, if you are a mentor, if you're any person who has influence and want to influence others, this is the best channel for you, because we do research and we ensure that we give you the best of everything that we tackle. We are going to be having live talk shows where we are going to be interviewing people from the streets of Ghana, Nigeria, Kampala, Kenya, Mozambique, Zambia, Zimbabwe. We shall be giving you live feeds, live talk shows where you get to know what's happening in different parts of Africa as they happen. This is TV Africa. Remember, Africa with their 55 countries or states, and still growing. We are a force to reckon with. We shall be giving you news as it happens across Africa, but of course, giving you also updates around the world. Now, welcome again to Human TV Africa, and of course, we shall be having a program today. Today, our new program starts with profiling. The new program is called Profiles. And today, number one on the show of Profiles is Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso. Now, welcome with me as I'm going to be discussing a great man that I admired so much. A man killed so early, a man assassinated so early, a man who became a president of a great country at only 33 years, and a man who only ruled for barely 4 years, and a man who was brutally assassinated on the 15th day of October 1987. A man who died so early, who was born on 21st day of December 1949. Thomas Sankara is the guy I'm going to talk about, the best leader that region has ever produced. I'll repeat it. The best leader that region has ever produced was none other than Thomas Sankara. Now, welcome to this show. I'm going to be talking about Thomas Sankara. Who was he? What did he do? Who did I annoy? Why was he killed? And what happened to those who killed him 25 years later when he had been assassinated? Remember, I said he came, he saw, and he conquered and inspired people and he touched lives. This one man, this one young man, because people normally think that you must be so old to change the world. Sankara became a president at 33. Yet before becoming a president, he was a prime minister at a very young age. And in 4 years, he did things that have never happened in Burkina Faso up to today. That even Kampol, who betrayed him and actually killed him, failed to do what Sankara did in 4 years. Yet he was there for so many years. Now, welcome to this program. I'm going to be talking about Thomas Sankara, the man who died and left a widow, Mariam, and only two children who have now become big persons, but a person who died so early. Now, I'm going to be discussing this man. I'll request our producer to put photos because I'm going to be speaking as we keep on seeing these photos so that you can able to see the images of this man. They're going to be almost the same images for this man, but I want you to keep on seeing it because it's not about me. It's about Thomas Sankara, the man who inspired me to love Marxism, the man who inspired me to love Pan-Africanism, the man who inspired me to love um, humanism. This man was Thomas Sankara. Now, on the map, we see that is the map of today we call it Burkina Faso, but it was called Upper Volta. This country was ruled by the French. In fact, the French stole from this country. As you may know, whenever they have been, the French basically have been known for stealing from these countries. And this was one of their victims. This country known as Burkina Faso was one of the victims of the French imperialism. Now, when you look at Burkina Faso, it neighbors with Ghana, it neighbors with Cote d'Ivoire, it neighbors with Benin, Niger, Mali. That is Burkina Faso. And the capital city was Ouagadougou. The capital city, Ouagadougou. Of course, we have other cities there. We have Fadanguma, we have Tenkodogo, we have Kodugo, we have Dedugu, we have Ouagadougou, and we have Kaya, Bobo Dioussoula, Bamfora, Atena, Kunu. All these are cities. It's not a big country, incidentally. It's not a big country, incidentally. It's been affected by the Sahara Desert. And of course, one of the things which Sankara did, as I'm going to be showing you, was actually to do what we call desertification, ensure that a desert becomes Arab land. How did he do it? But not first. Let us go back to this man who's Thomas Sankara. That's the country, very small. Dennis, I would suggest that we first add everyone. If they are there, if you have only one person, let us not add any other, because I will not tolerate getting off because someone is coming in until when we sort this one out. If you have only Nana, that will be only Nana now, because I realize that whenever someone joins in, I have to get off. I think let us not add any other panels. Nana, welcome.
Thank you, Comrade Katu. And I'm really sorry for the glitch.
It's not your fault. Welcome, Abasi.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Producer, it has not add any other person because it happens that whenever we add people, I have to get off until when we fix this, and then it does not add anyone else. Now, today, members, you found me handling Burkina Faso, and of course, today this is a program called Profiles, where we shall be profiling great leaders, not only in Africa, throughout the world. Not only in Africa. I shall be talking about politicians in the US, in the UK, in Scandinavian countries, all over Africa, leaders, personalities who never even became leaders. We shall be talking about them under this one program called Profiles. But of course, I'm going to start with Africa. Having done Africa, then I will go to the rest of the world. Now, today I'm handling one great man called Thomas Sankara, and the viewers have already heard me saying that he was born on the 21st day of December 1949 and was killed on the 15th day of October 1987. Who was Thomas Sankara? Is the great guy we are talking about today. Thomas Sankara is one leader, one man who was born in Upper Volta. Upper Volta is a country in West Africa that neighbors Ghana, Niger, and of course Togo, and of course Cote d'Ivoire, and Benin, and Mali. Now, that's the country, as you can see, the map. That is Burkina Faso. Then leave it there, as I explained, Burkina Faso. It's a small country. It's actually, much of it was a desert, but who made it more Arabic, more Arab land? That was one man called Thomas Sankara. Thomas Sankara planted 10 million trees, planted 10 million trees to chase away desert from Burkina Faso. Now, let me go back a bit. Don't leave them up there. Let me go back a bit to explain who was this guy, Thomas Sankara. Thomas Sankara, as I said, is born on 21st December 1949, and he joins the army later on as a youth, joins the army and becomes so influential in the army, and he's promoted. He's promoted early enough, early enough, early enough to become a captain, early enough to become a captain, and so much loved. Thomas Sankara was so intelligent in terms of oratory, was a very good speaker, always smile, was a tall man, very handsome, and sociable So he was loved by the soldiers so much. Now, as a young man, he joined the movement that was agitating for independence. Remember that Burkina Faso was Upper Volta, was under the hands of imperialists. We, of course, now know as the French government. The imperialists, of course, took over Mali, Niger, and Benin, Cote d'Ivoire. The French, of course, those are the imperialists that actually owned, I will use the word owned, Upper Volta, and had a stake, as I will explain later, had a stake in the death of Thomas Sankara. But let me go back to how Thomas Sankara rose to become a prominent leader. Dennis, I will invite you to show us now the photos of Sankara as I keep on explaining. Let the photos move. I keep on explaining who he was. Then my other colleagues will come in. You can see 1949 to 1987. That was Sankara. Sankara was a young man, very young man, a bit tall, black, of course, and very charismatic. They have called him an iconic leader. They have called him a liberation leader. Now, when Sankara was a youth in the army, he was a friend to the president, to the man who became a president, as Jean Batista Odrago. who became a president, the first president of Upper Volta. Now, he made him a prime minister. He was so young, by 30 years old, the guy was so young to become a prime minister. Yeah. So, and he never took it upon himself to brag around. He became an instant leader. He took his position as a leader. Everyone began seeing something different with this young man. Thomas Sankara was a very great orator who could speak so well. He was so articulate. He was so fast. He was so astute. He was also upright. Now he became a prime minister at such a young age, and people loved him more than the president. Now there was a problem. There was confusion. There was corruption in the government. Sankara used to say, we cannot be independent of the French when they still dictate how we do our affairs in this country. So as a prime minister, Sankara began resisting, saying that the French are saying we are free, but in practice, they are still controlling us. Why are we still borrowing money from IMF? Why are we still borrowing money from World Bank? As a prime minister, he was always disagreeing with his president. Now there was a problem. The president got annoyed and put him in prison. The prison was a form of home arrest. Sankara had a wife, a young lady called Mariam. By then, they had a child. By that time, they had only one child. So he was put in house arrest, and he refused, of course, to back down. He refused to agree with the president and the council. He was telling them they must stop corruption. He was telling them they must cut ties from the French completely. He was saying, if you're going to be free, let us be free in practice, not free on paper. So he was put now under house arrest. The year was 1980, 1983. Now, house arrest, 1983. And what happened is that there were people in the army who loved Sankara more than the president. Now, the soldiers themselves, without Sankara telling them, took over government in a coup. The soldiers, without Sankara telling them, because remember, Sankara was under prison at his own house. And then the soldiers made a mutiny or a coup and took over government. They shot around bullets, took over government. The president had to leave. Now, that's how Jean-Baptiste Ouedraogo left. Now, when the president left, was moved from power, the soldiers themselves went, picked Thomas Sankara from his house, and declared him the next president. The guy became a president without firing a bullet. He became a president by the soldiers putting him there because he was already under house arrest. Now, the soldiers appointed him, and they said, from today, you are our leader. From today, you are the president of Burkina Faso. Now, he became so young a president that at the age of 33, he was the youngest president by then in that region. So he became a young president at 33, and he was the most revolutionary president that country has ever seen up to now. When he took over power, he announced immediately that the name of the country must change. He said that the name was French. He said that the French had stolen enough from their country, and he wanted them out of their system. He was categorically clear, said, I want the French system out, and I will start with the name. So he changed the name, which they had given them, Upper Volta, and he called it Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso, which means the land of the incorruptible people. The land of incorruptible people, people who cannot be corrupted. He said this country must be governed from new principles. We are not going to be corrupted. We are a people that are going to be free from corruption. And Burkina Faso means the land of incorruptible people. So that was Sankara. He says, from henceforth, I'm the president at 3 years, and my country is going to be no corruption zone. What did he do immediately on getting power? He began by forming tribunals. Tribunals are like courts, those of you who know some bit of law. And he started by prosecuting every public officer that was stealing money. He put them in prisons. Some of them were shot. He cleaned the system. That's why I loved Sankara. And Sankara openly said, I am a Marxist. Sankara openly said that he was a Marxist. Another reason why I loved him. He was purely Marxist. Marxists don't believe in corruption. Marxists believe in welfare of all, or for all, not for few. Marxists don't like capitalism that much. Because of that, Thomas Sankara was hated by what? Number one, the French government, because it stopped them from stealing their resources in Burkina Faso. Number two, IMF. Number three, World Bank. Now, those three institutions, one is the government, the French government. He told them, I don't want anything to do with French government if you're going to continue stealing from us. Number two, I don't want to take loans from IMF and World Bank if you're going to give us stupid loans and bankrupt our country. You can imagine a young president at 33 years saying, we don't want your loans. And he said, we can get money within Burkina Faso. He said, if you're going to give us loans, we must have agreed on terms, and those terms must be free, must be favorable to our people. Don't make us poor through your stupid loans. So Sankara is the only president by that time who stood up against World Bank, who stood up against IMF and said, enough of your thuggery. We are not going to take it anymore as Africans. We can do it on our own. Sankara, at an early age of 33, said no to stupid loans from IMF and World Bank. And do you think World Bank was happy? They were never happy. Why? Because they benefit by giving us loans. I always say, as an economist, that please don't take World Bankers' money as something they give you with a good heart. Never. World Bank gives money to us so that they can steal from us, so that we can beg them, so that they can impoverish us. One day I will come with that kind of talk, and I show you how bad World Bank can be and how bad IMF has been to Africa. Now, Thomas Sankara, as early as 1983, Thomas Sankara had seen that World Bank is a thief and the IMF is another thief that are stealing from Africans and from poor economies. They give you loans and they take too much from you. They give you loans, they have their companies running all over, managing your resources, stealing from, taking raw materials from you because they have given you some cramps called loans. Now, Sankara was headed by one, the French, by two, World Bank, by three, IMF, because he said no to you. What did he do? He began getting money from within the country, but also he decided to get only loans that could help develop his country. Which loans did he get? He got loans to build schools. He built schools all over Burkina Faso. He got loans to build roads, and there was no corruption. He could kill you if you are corrupt or arrest you through the tribunals. He got loans to build hospitals. In the 4 years he was in power, he built hospitals, he built roads, he built schools, and he had a program called Vaccination for All. All children were vaccinated from the 6 major killer diseases. He was only 33 years, but he was so intelligent to say, we don't want stupid loans. If a loan is going to come, it must be well agreed on, and we know where exactly it's going to go, and it must serve people. Build schools, build hospitals, build roads, vaccinate people for all, and then education for all. When Museveni in Uganda was dreaming about free education in 1997, Thomas Sankara had dreamed about it in 1983. Education for all. Thomas Sankara is the president who said all girls must go to school. All girls. And Thomas Sankara said no polygamy. Outlawed polygamy. And that will put him in trouble with traditionalists. He said, one man, one wife. Again, Thomas Sankara said in his regime that there was not going to be no arranged marriages, no forced marriages. Whether you're a Muslim, whether you're a traditionalist, no arranged marriage. A girl must only marry when they are above 18. Thomas Sankara came with so many revolutionary ideas, and he was so serious on putting the law in paper and on the ground. Said no early marriages, no forced marriages, no polygamy, and all girls must go to school. And he had a cabinet where actually he also brought women on board. And he became revolutionary. He said, we must improve agriculture and have our own food. We are not going to get food from Sierra Leone, from Ivory Coast, from neighboring countries. He said no. Liberia, he said no. We are going to feed ourselves. Now, because of that, Thomas Sankara was loved by his people. He built roads, he built schools, he built hospitals. He made sure that everyone is vaccinated, the children, and he made sure that, of course, he reduces loans from IMF and World Bank, and he said no to French imperialism. Now, he was hated. Who hated him? Of course, I said the French never liked him. World Bank never liked him. IMF always criticized him that he was not a revolutionary, that he was not respecting human rights, he was arresting people, and he was always saying, I arrest them because they are corrupt. Now, who else hated him? The local people who are traditionalists that were benefiting from forced marriages, arranged marriages, and land grabbing, because he was against land grabbing by the traditional chiefs. He said, no way, you cannot say, I'm a king, I'm a chief, I'm taking land. He said, land belongs to the people. Now, those chiefs hated him. Chiefs hated him. The imperialists, who are the French, hated him. IMF and World Bank hated him. And of course, the people he told not to marry many women hated him. And he became a threat to the traditionalists who thought that he was actually killing their culture because girls were going to school. How can Africans, the way they think that someone who says girls must go to school is against the culture of the people of Burkina Faso, because a girl must stay at home, make children, cook. And this guy was saying, no, a girl child must go to school and become a doctor and become a lawyer, just like a boy child. He was young but very intelligent and looking far. And he said no to famine by putting much of the money into agriculture. Remember, I told you he planted 10 million trees. There was a campaign to plant 10 million trees in Burkina Faso, and they were planted. So that a desert, because Burkina Faso was more like a desert, Sahara had taken over. He made a desert country become a tree country. One man's leadership, Thomas Sankara. And of course, he outlawed female genital mutilation. Can you imagine? He outlawed female genital mutilation. And of course, as I said, he abolished polygamy, he abolished forced marriages, and he set up a popular revolutionary tribunal to prosecute all the corrupt politicians and people that committed political crimes. And IMF was all over the place shouting, and this guy is bad, this guy is going to be bad. Now, what happens? The French government began hating him. They started inviting him for meetings, for peace talks. Then you can keep on showing us photos. You're going to see him in France. You're going to see him in France. He went to France for peace talks. I will call them peace talks because the French government wanted him to go and negotiate. They were begging him, young man, look, we need to survive. We need your country. We need to be part of your country. He said, you have gone. We are now independent. What do you want from us? So he went to France and he met the president there, Mitterrand. Mitterrand also came to Burkina Faso. They were negotiating. But every time he was saying no. The French had given them independence. At the same time, they wanted to rule them. They wanted to take their resources. And he was saying, look, we are independent now, not so. Why do you want to dictate on us? Why do you want to tell us what to do? The former ruling class, the guys who he had replaced and arrested, hated him. Remember when he came to power, he arrested every crook and thief and put them in prison. And he had a new government. Now the guys he had arrested had relatives who hated him. Now he is the man who says every girl must go to school. We must plant trees. All of us must become food producers. We must become self-reliant. No debts, no loans from IMF, no loans from World Bank. Look at him. That is Thomas Sankara with Francois Mitterrand, the president of France. In France, in Paris, he went to Paris to negotiate because the French were threatened. He went to France to negotiate. French Mitterrand came to Burkina Faso to negotiate. They wanted him to say, okay, I will allow IMF to give us many loans. I will allow World Bank. Can you imagine you people? How do you want to give me a loan and beg me to give me a loan? You see, it's very stupid. Someone wants to give you a loan, but he also begs you to give you a loan. Please accept our loans, please. And it was like, I know why you want to give us loans, not in good faith. You want to make us your slaves. You want to control our resources. You want to give us conditions. And that young man at 33 who was saying no. Now the French government was under attack because why they hated him was that Burkina Faso was becoming a bad example. That guy went to a conference of all African countries and gave a speech that moved the world. One day I'll come and read for you the speech. He gave a speech. He went to a World Summit and gave another speech, and everyone clapped hands for like 10 minutes. He moved the audience. He was a good orator. He was articulate, and he was pro-Africa. He said it's time for Africans to take back what belongs to them. And he said if the French people are giving us independence, it must be real independence. What happens? The guy was hated. The guy was hated by number one, and I always say this, by the French government. And I always say this, that actually the French government killed him. And I'll explain that. Now, they hated him, that whenever he went, he was inspiring revolutions. And by that time, Gaddafi was on the scene. So he was linking up with Gaddafi, and they were going to see a revolutionary. Sheikh Guevara, the Cuban guy, was linking up with Sankara, and they were making a serious force. He was linking up with the likes of Guerrero, the likes of Obote. They were becoming the best Marxist ever. Remember, I told you that my ideology is Marxism. We believe that all human beings must have ability to become wealthy equally. We must have resources, we must have fair roads, we must have good education, we must have a welfare system that serves everyone. Those are Marxists. And Sankara was a pure Marxist. He said everyone must have access to education, access to health, access to good roads, access to a better future. Not only the few can become rich and rich, and the rest are poor and poor. That was the Marxist Thomas Sankara. Now, the French government hated him. Mitterrand was frustrated because he refused to listen. They had meetings and meetings. He refused to listen. He said, Burkina Faso must be free from the French tyranny, and we are not going to allow unnecessary debts, unnecessary loans from IMF and the thieving World Bank. So he refused on that. And you can see Francois Mitterrand in Burkina Faso. The guy went to Burkina Faso, the president of France, practically begging Thomas Sankara to accept. Please, can you accept World Bank to give you a loan? Please, can you accept IMF to give you loans? Please, can you accept our companies to continue working here? Because we cannot survive without being here. You can imagine how desperate those French people were. And of course, they knew that if Thomas Sankara continued doing like that, Mali is going to revolt, Niger is going to revolt, Cote d'Ivoire is going to revolt, Sierra Leone and other countries are going to become really hostile to all other imperialists. Now, as French government was getting worried, also other imperialists in Africa were on the look, because Thomas Sankara was saying no to imperialism, end to debt, end to debt. We must take back our economies. We must be our own food producers. Here he was, of course, with Mitterrand in France. He went to France to negotiate. They came to him to negotiate. to have a fair deal. But the guy was always saying, my country first, and no to corruption. And remember, he had arrested people who were corrupt in the previous government, and we are saying release them, and he was saying no. What happened? They killed him. When? The day was 15th October 1987. They killed him how? His own friend, the guy he had grown up with, the guy he had helped to become a leader, called Blaise Compaoré. His own friend, his own best friend betrayed him and sent soldiers. They were having a meeting of leaders, politicians, like a national congress, an assembly for politicians. Now, his own best friend sent soldiers and shoot their way inside where they are meeting and shoot Sankara over 30 bullets. They say over 30 bullets. Like his back was threaded with bullets. They killed him instantly on the 15th day of October 1987. He was assassinated by his own friend, Blaise Compaoré. And in that shooting, after shooting him, they also shot other 12 people who were in that meeting. Others were left alone. But they shot him plus other 12 people. He was brutally assassinated. And who had organized? The French government. Of course, the French government up to now, they continue to refuse. Oh, we are never involved. Yet secret reports have revealed that the French government and Francois Mitterrand killed Thomas Sankara. Reports have come out that the French government engineered, supported Blaise Compaoré, who was a soldier, who had been groomed by his own friend to betray his own friend because he was assured of the support from the French government. And also it's alleged that also Charles Taylor was behind that kind of move because the French government had corrupted him. So it had been said, of course, without not much evidence, Charles Taylor of Liberia and other and the president of Ivory Coast that time were also part of the assassination plot. The Got nationalists came, shot the guy, and other 12 people dead. And then Blaise Compaoré took over leadership. His own friend betrayed him. His own friend took over. What did Blaise Compaoré do on taking over? He announced that Thomas Sankara had become a dictator. He announced that Thomas Sankara had become a dictator by simply doing what the people of Burkina Faso wanted. In fact, people voted when Sankara was killed. People picked guns and fought the enemy, but they were overpowered. You can imagine people voted, picked guns and fought, but they were overpowered by these guys who had more guns. Why? They are fighting. If they knew Sankara was dead, but they wanted to avenge his death. That's how much they loved him. Now, Compaoré took over. Blaise Compaoré took over and ruled from 1987 to 2014. To 2014, the guy ruled. And also, another coup happened and was ousted. And another leader came in. And then, of course, in 2017, 3 years after ousting Blaise Compaoré from power, the widow, the wife of Thomas Sankara, the wife is called Mariam Sankara, went to international courts and appealed and said, we must try whoever killed my husband. Now, in 2017, courts began to sit. And in 2021, the former president, Blaise Compaoré, was indicted, and 5 others on charges of murdering Thomas Sankara. So the former president, up to now, has been indicted for killing Thomas Sankara, and of course with other chief of staff, soldiers who were involved, others were dead, others were, of course, all of them are ran out of the country. And reports from court show that Basically, Bruce Compaore and 12 others who were indicted were paid, were influenced, were motivated by none other than the French government to kill Thomas Sankara. But the good news is that at least those who were involved, the court pronounced itself and were indicted for the murder of Thomas Sankara. Now, that's where we are. We lost him. And the matter, to conclude on this, what makes me sad is that when Compaore took over, you know, a leader outdoing everything that the other person has done. Like, you see, Obama came to power, 8 years, did well, and then Trump came to power, and Trump begins to undo whatever good things Obama had done. This is what Bruce Compaore did. Whatever good thing Sankara had done, when Bruce Compaore came to power, outdid them. He began by doing what? Freeing all the prisoners who were corrupt and excused them. So which means he had allowed corruption. Number two, he went to IMF and World Bank and got loans. Number three, he welcomed the French back. That's why people say, oh, it were the French who had supported this guy to kill his own friend. They were like brothers. What I know people that Compaore and Sankara were like brothers. We are together. We are together and joined the military together. We are great friends. And yet a man there used a friend and said he had become a dictator. He was not even sorry for the death of his friend. So, and whatever good Sankara had done, Compaore destroyed. Invited the French back. The French took over the economy. They began stealing as usual. The corrupt were out. They were back to stealing. Land was taken back by the chiefs. He was there to appease everyone to remain in power. So that's how it is. And the country remained in poverty until last year, when another young man, Traore, again, if you remember, took over through a coup. Remember that? Yeah, a new man now. Yeah. You were a neighbor, actually. For you guys who are there, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, a new guy took over. Also young, I think he's about 33 years. Traore, Captain Traore, took over. And also, people are saying is more likely to be like Sankara because the way he speaks is more likely to be like Sankara. That's the story of Sankara. Today I was profiling Sankara, the man I loved so much, the man Africa loved so much. He was killed at an early age. He was only a leader for 4 years, but the things he did, Compaore never did them in 25 years. So, back to you guys who are neighbors actually of Burkina Faso. Ghana, you are neighbor there, very neighbor to Burkina Faso there, and of course Nigeria. Now, I want to take it back to you. Me, I was doing an analysis of this. I will begin with Comrade Nana from Ghana. What's your take on what I've said, and what do you know about Sankara?
Yeah, thank you very much. And I love this man. As you can see, on my Facebook, Sankara is the person who is reigning over there. Yeah, I've used him as my profile picture because I love him. I love his ideology, and listening to you and also studying a little bit history about him. From his background, I think he was an upright man because the father used to work for the whites, and they were living all right in the suburbs, and they were living good. But I think the young Sankara was worried why his friends in the school he met in the streets, living as good as he is. So I think from an early age he had that that passion to free people, to free human beings, and to make a human being more humanistic. All what you said makes him a humanist.
Yeah.
I know he is left, but I don't know if he's far left. But he's a complete humanist, and as Marxist as he is, he was also fighting for his own people. But before I will say anything else, Sankara is a prominent figure here in Ghana.
Okay.
Yeah, there are people who even named their case after Sankara. This shows how the rest of Africa were expecting. The expectation of Sankara and Burkina Faso was deep. And with the changing of the name from the upright voter to the Burkina Faso, and that was so intelligent of him. Initially, I thought it was from a French word, but later I learned it's Mosi and one other popular language in Burkina Faso, the upright man. And the upright man is also biologically true, because scientifically the upright man was from Africa. Man learned to be upright, to stand on his feet right here in Africa. So the name upright man, initially I was thinking it was derived from a man rising up in Africa, but Burkina Faso, the upright people, the land of the upright people, the name is so sweet, and so it has everything to think about it. So I will just because of our time, I will just quit here. But before I go, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Humanist TV Africa for the work they have been doing. I have this laptop here. I don't know if the camera can capture it.
Oh, wow. Thank you so
much. Yeah, this laptop here, and it's provided to me by the Humanist TV Africa, and I really cherish it. It has made my work so very simple, and in front of the millions who will be watching this video, I promise dedicate myself to the cause of this TV network. Just like Sankara, I have the vision to build Africa. I have the vision to make the youth of Africa more humanistic, as our Humanist TV tends to achieve. So thank you very much, Comrade Kato. Thank you, everybody on our dear platform. Thank you very much.
Sir.
I really appreciate it.
You made me laugh like a baby, really. I like the way you put it forward, and I would have even wanted you to continue talk and talk and talk. Let us have Obasi. Obasi is a young lawyer in Nigeria. Obasi, what's your take?
Oh, thank you for having me. Well, I would say that talking about Thomas Sankara always make me feel sad, always devastates me, because there is something deeply identical about humanism and Thomas Sankara, which is liberation, political and mental liberation.
Yeah. Whenever
I hear of the name Thomas Sankara, what comes into my mind is African liberation. Just like Mama Gaddafi, Julius Nyerere that you rightly mentioned, and some other great Pan-Africanist revolutionary leaders. You know, up till now, we are still talking about colonialism in Africa. Africa is a second-class continent of the world. Up till now, Africa has no permanent member seat in the Security Council of the United Nations.
Yes.
So, whenever I hear of Sankara, I begin to miss him. Because the problem of Africa, or the problem Africa has, is not entirely Western imperialism. You know, his story will make you understand that. It's low mentality, sometimes corruption. You can imagine his friend betrayed him.
Yes.
The story of Thomas Sankara will remind me of Julius Caesar.
Yes.
Yes, the book written by Shakespeare. How great Julius Caesar was. It was his friend Brutus that gave him the war stab.
Yeah.
Yes. So the problem of Africa is not just Western imperialism. Low mentality is also a problem brought by ignorance, belief system. You know, it's equally a problem. You see, in Nigeria, let me make this thing practical. We need more Sankara. Do you know that in Nigeria currently, Naira keeps devaluing? Why dollar keep rising? So we need more of Thomas Sankara. I love this topic. I must appreciate you. I love this topic. You know, the progress of human race is often dependent on how people think. And if you think progress, whenever you think progress, you metamorphose into success. But if you think that there is a supreme being elsewhere in the sky that brings about progress, it nurtures false hopes. And false hope is often the root cause of poverty and underdevelopment. In Africa, there's a lot of false hopes. There's a lot of low mentality. And we need men. We need more men like Sankara. And I believe that Humanist TV will turn out men like that. I believe that Humanist TV will nurture people like Sankara because we are of African blood. Some of Sankara and his likes are metaphors for revolution in Africa, for a better Africa. I love Thomas Sankara, but because of time, I will not say much of him because you've said it all. But I urge our viewers, the humanist community, to embrace the good work of Thomas Sankara and become like him. I know, because what Africa needs now is great revolution. We are going back. We are retrogressing. There is this sense of, let me speak in a criminology language. There is this sense of atavism. There's this sense of atavism that is affecting the progress of Africa. So we need more Thomas Sankara. Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you so much, Counsel Lawyer Obasi. Obasi, you said something very important, yes. That one, and of course, this is what Nana said in effect, that when we talk about Sankara, Sankara was a humanist. And number two, it reminds us to take charge of our own destiny. As people in Africa, if you don't take charge, I always say it, the rest of the world is going to take charge of our own affairs. Because they are eager to own what we have. And they are eager to use the weak, like Blaise Compaoré. I can tell you that Thomas Sankara was betrayed by his chief of security, was called Katondo. The guy who was manning his security never died, actually connived with the killers to come and kill his own boss. He was killed by his own best friend, Blaise Compaoré. He had grown up with, he had served in the army with, he was his best friend. His best friend killed him. And you said it right, just like Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar said that what hurts is not the many stabs you have been given, but the stab from your best friend. Julius Caesar was killed by his best friend, Brutus. When you read that book, Brutus, he said, Brutus, you also stabbed me. Others will stab me, but you, Brutus.
Even you, Brutus.
Yeah, even you, Brutus. Others are stabbing because the man was stabbed in the back by so many other counselors. They were in a meeting. And they had connived, they come with the bayonets, they had come with swords, because it was not allowed to go in that council with the bayonets. But because the situation was compromised, it was only Julius Caesar was not armed, yet he could manage them. He was stronger than them, but he was not armed. And they had come for a meeting to kill him. But who had compromised them? His own friend, Brutus. That's why Mark Antony, another friend of Julius Caesar, takes revenge. Okay? Now, I'm now going into Julius Caesar. Mark Antony, the friend of Julius Caesar, takes revenge and says, whoever has killed my friend, I'm going to kill them. And when he goes to Paris, he says, ladies and gentlemen, countrymen, I'm not here to praise Caesar, but I'm here to bury my friend. And he says, the good that people do are buried with them, but the bad remain to haunt them. And then after that speech, he goes ahead to haunt everyone that killed his friend,
Yes,
Julius
please.
Caesar. But who killed Julius Caesar? Brutus. Who killed Julius Caesar? His own friends. Now, we go back to the story of Thomas Sankara. Sankara was betrayed by his own friends. And in a nutshell, who betrays Africa? Who betrays Africa, Council Obasi? We Africans betray ourselves. This is what I learned from all this. And again, another thing I learned from all this is that we have the ability to make things better. We have the ability to make things better, but sadly, we betray ourselves. Africans, we are our own worst enemies. I'll repeat it. Africans, we are our own worst enemies. Sankara was a great leader who would have been alive today if Africans never betrayed him. Africans were compromised and took the side of the French government and killed their own man, Thomas Sankara. And up to now, they are still regretting why they killed him. So today, that was Thomas Sankara. Next time, we shall have another revolutionary leader being analyzed under the program profiles. This is Humanist TV Africa, and we encourage you to please keep watching. Thank you, Dennis, for the good show. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, the team at Humanist TV Africa. Thank you, all our sponsors, those who help us to be able to run this show. My name is Kato Mukasa. See you in the next one.